Hey, how's it going? I'm Adam, and welcome to my channel. Well, today we'll be talking about a once beloved high-speed black and white film stock, Neopan 1600, also known by its stage name, Super Presto. It was made by Fujifilm and it was discontinued in 2009, something that we have all gotten used to saying. Pro for underage, you are still missed. Anyway, there is very little information about Super Presto online, but from what I was able to gather, that it's a professional, hence the huge writing on the box, black and white panchromatic film stock that was made for action stopping, stage, low light, and reportage photography, giving you great contrast, fine grain, elevated sharpness, and three-dimensional depth, meaning you actually have to wear 3D glasses to appreciate these photos. Anyway, it's time to see if Presto has some gusto. I met up with my buddy Matthew for some breakfast before our photo trip, but we didn't talk much. Apparently he was too busy saving his family from a murderous owl or something.
Yeah, I got 2 number 9s.
And a Diet Coke. So our destination would be a small town outside of Poznan called Buk. But we made a quick stop at this horse stable, and here's where I loaded the Presto.
That's a transition.
Alright. Neopan 1600. I loaded it in my recently acquired Nikon F3. I'm still in the honeymoon phase with this camera, so you will definitely see more of it in upcoming videos. First impressions. It sure is grainy. Really, really grainy. We finally made it to Buk, and I kid you not, a whole bunch of crows started surrounding us. It is as if they were welcoming us to the town, or trying to tell us to grab our cameras and run. Either or. Let's talk about the ISO. Neopan is a 1600 ISO film, an extremely high-speed film stock that we don't get to see too often nowadays, which kinda sucks. Now, this film stock expired in 2002, the same year that Harry destroyed Tom Riddle's notebook, and I had a problem on deciding the ISO. Now, normally you do the 10-year one-stop rule, but apparently high ISO speed film degrades much quicker. But on the other hand, black and white film handles expiration much better than color negative film. So after doing some deep critical thinking, as I always do, I decided to rate it at 400. But after looking at these photos, 800 would have been just perfect. Anyway, after finding out Buk was indecisive on which soda team they were on, we ventured on towards the town. So we want to take a portrait, behind this great door. But every time we get close, the dog is barking.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's a sign we shouldn't take pictures of ourselves. We hear you. We're leaving. These crows are freaking me out. Yeah, I won't lie, the emptiness of the town, the cloudy weather, and the constant surrounding by crows was starting to create this ominous vibe. But this photo is not half bad. It's simple and it has great contrast. Alright, I got the shot. Let's go. These crows are freaking me out.
Probably the worst moment.
What? I can't hear you because of the crows. Alrighty, enough of the horror setting. Let's talk about the grain. Well, if you're not a fan of grain, this film stock is definitely not for you. The higher the ISO, the more grain you get, and add in the 20 years past its expiration date and you get even more grain. It sort of gives you a sandpaper vibe, but I actually like the look. It sort of gives you this grungy, moody, and dramatic image, and I gotta admit, it's really sharp. I can see why this was a beloved film stock. Before we would say goodbye to Book and the crows forever, we had one last thing to see. A pretty popular church in the area. I like this photo. It's very minimalistic and I do enjoy the wide tonal range that this film stock gives. Now, like I mentioned before, if you don't live in places like LA, high ISO film is really useful. I live in Poznan, and when the colder weather comes, good luck trying to shoot a 100 or a 200 ISO film. Not even Tom Cruise could do it. Now, we do have a couple of high-speed black and white film stocks in the market, but none of them are actually what the box says and are in fact lower than 1600. I actually like to shoot high f-stops and even indoors. I imagine back in the day Presto was extremely versatile for any shooting situation. So that was it for Book. We still have a couple of shots left. Why are you on your phone all the time? We're gonna take the scenic route and yeah, maybe finish the roll on the way. Just when we were leaving Book and we were at the end of our rolls, the sun came out. Anyway, I made Matthew stop so I can run across a busy street. Yeesh, look at me go. To take a photo of a house being illuminated with sunlight.
Portfolio shot.
And boy oh boy was I right. The solo house on the hill, seemingly in the middle of nowhere, and this dramatic look, it definitely is a keeper. And that's the end of the roll and the video. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Now, my final thoughts on Super Presto: fun name and even better film stock. The contrast is great, it's sharp, it's dramatic, and it's extremely versatile. I can see why it was so beloved. Now, the cons for some can be the grain. Yeah, it's a lot. So if you're a portrait photographer looking for a smooth image, this is definitely not for you. And another con is it's getting harder and harder to find this film stock. So when you actually do, get ready to not order Uber Eats for the following week. Now, will we ever see this film come back? I mean, come on, it's Fuji. But hey, HP5 push 2 stops is a great look also. Anyway, shout out to Matthew for making the best out of a spooky situation. So yeah, like, subscribe, do all that jazz. Oh, and did you know that crows actually remember faces? I'm not sleeping tonight.